Ourselves a fun slate on tap for tonight in MLB DFS because we have three legitimate aces towing the rubber, and they're all, I think, in play for daily fantasy. Two of them, Kyle Hendricks and Kenta Maeda, are in amazing matchups, and Tyler Glasnow, good enough to be viable no matter whom he is facing. So, pretty fun slate. Let's dive on in and break it on down. Welcome on into the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. That's right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope pages. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to get you set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS. No matter where you are watching the stream for today, you can get your questions in. You can check us out, and we can talk about pitchers. We can talk about stacks. We can talk one-offs, general MLB DFS process. No matter what is on your mind, we can talk about it here today on the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. So get those questions in, and we'll address them live here on the air throughout the show for today. We have only two more of these left before the end of the MLB season. We have one tomorrow at a regular time, 4 p.m. Then on Friday, we have our snake draft Q&A with myself, JJ Zachariason, and Brandon Gadula. We're doing a snake draft for the NFL Week 3 main slate live on the air. We'll take your questions about Week 3 for NFL DFS immediately after that, and then we'll go with the MLB DFS Q&A right after. That'll be at 4 p.m. We will not have MLB DFS Q&As during the playoffs, but we'll still have the waiver wire Q&A on Tuesdays and the snake draft on Fridays. So still plenty of stuff coming here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope pages, so make sure you are subscribed. First question from Fantasy Fun. Jim, good afternoon, kind sir. Hello, Fantasy Fun, and welcome to the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. Cody, early slate stack? I don't know. As usual, I am pretty busy during the day, so I actually don't get to play a lot of early-only slates, so I haven't looked at it. We can pull up here and check out some starters and give you a little ballpark, just because why not? Okay, so I'm guessing that this is going to be like the 6 p.m. games. Zach Eflin, Eric Fetty, Wes Benjamin, Alex Young, Robbie Ray, Tanaka. Oh, go Shane Bieber. Okay. So I would say Bieber or Giolito at pitcher. Kind of just you're building around that no matter what. Bauer's in play too. But again, this is with no research. So unfortunately, I'm not going to have a lot of great insights here. But I would say any between Bauer, Bieber, Giolito are going to be your main routes. And then for the stacks, probably, I don't know. Stacks are tougher without doing a lot of research. So sorry, Cody. I can't provide a whole lot of good insights there. May says, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well, May. Question from Chip. San Francisco weather. Would you stack San Francisco? Okay, so we go out here to the numberFire games and lineups page. We can see what things are looking like in San Francisco. And I think that because there's no rain for tonight, it might be helpful to look at the heat chart here that I have here. Probably going to be on the wrong day because I was looking at tomorrow. Yes, this is tomorrow's slate if you're bored. But for today, go over here, and I have the temperatures here for each game. San Francisco is still colder than everywhere else. We want warm weather for hitters because that's better for the ball to fly. However, when you see these park factors here, none of them are all that high. Like the Brave Stadium is a pretty good park factor, and we do like Fenway Park to stack there. We like going to the Twin Stadium at Target Field, but like there's no great park factors for tonight, and there's no place that's in the 80s from a temperature perspective. So, Chip, I think San Francisco, from a weather perspective, is viable for today for stacking. And in fact, on the solo shot this morning, the Giants were my number one stack. They're facing Ryan Castellani. Castellani, over the past, I think it's 5 starts. 5 starts with fewer changes for Castellani. 7.05 skill interactive ERA. He has a 12% strikeout rate, 16% walk rate, a whole lot of hard contact. I know he gets out of Coors Field, and that 5-game sample all comes from Coors Field, but skill interactive ERA and strikeout rate are not as fluky based on the atmosphere as other things are. So even though he gets a much better park, like as much of a park factor upgrade as you can possibly get, and he's facing an offense we don't tend to regard as being like the best in the league, I still think that we can stack against Castellani. So I would say the Giants are a good stack. 117 WRC plus against righties. A lot of fly balls, enough hard contact to get by. They don't strike out that much. So, Chip, despite the weather still not being that great in San Francisco for hitting, it's still a place I want to go for stacks for today because of the matchup for San Francisco. Tim, should I go to Kenta Maeda and 2 big sticks? Thanks. Yes, I like Kenta for tonight. Kenta is my number 1 pitcher. He's facing the Tigers, and the Tigers are a dream matchup for righties. They have a 28% strikeout rate against righties and 81 at WRC+. And the numbers I have here on Kenta are his past 5 starts. Now, it's worth noting the game where he almost had the no-hitter was before this one. It was actually the start right before it. But in the 5 starts since then, he's been using his slider more often, so these numbers are not cherry-picked. It comes after his near no-hitter. 2.72 skill interactive ERA, 35% strikeout rate, 4% walk rate, and he's limiting hard contact. So Kenta Maeda, straight up, my number 1 pitcher on the board for tonight. I think that Kyle Hendricks is a good option, and I love Glasnow, as said, but Kenta is going to be number 1. So, Tim, I agree. Go Kenta for tonight. Fantasy fun. Favorite pitcher for tonight? Just talked about Kenta Maeda, so you asked it before I talked about it. Sorry, just saw your question now, but yeah, I'll go Kenta as my number 1. Mateo, I like the Twins offense and the Tampa offense. Which Tampa bats do you like? I like the Twins offense as well. This is a Byron Buxton Players Weekend jersey because why not? Buxton was the cover boy for the Q&A for today over on YouTube, so we're going full in on the Twins. Not just Kenta Maeda, but also with the Twins. Mateo, I very much agree. Casey Mize has a very good long-term outlook. I think he's going to be a good pitcher eventually, but so far this year, he profiles as someone we can stack against. Not a ton of strikeouts, 5.00 skill interactive ERA. His regular ERA is above 6, so we can stack the Twins. They're healthy now. I agree with the Twins. Tampa Bay, I think, is a good stack as well. They're facing Michael Wacha. When you see Wacha's numbers on my sheet, you're going to think, okay, I don't want to stack against him because this is since he came back from the injured list. He has a 3.89 skill interactive ERA. When you pull up Wacha's results page, you're going to see a very different story. There are some pitchers who will either underperform or overperform their peripherals. Wacha looks like someone who will underperform his peripherals, and that's why I don't really care too much that his peripherals are good. He allows a lot of hard contact. He does not keep the ball on the ground. That's going to lead to some pretty poor results, especially against a team like the Rays, who are pretty good. They will strike out, but outside of that, they are an offense I do like. So, Mateo, I am on board with you there with regards to stacking both the Twins and the Rays. The Rays lineup is already out, so we can pull this up here, and it's pretty much as expected. I would say if you're looking for value, Yoshi Tsutsugo is $2,800. He gets a lot of fly balls against righties, so Tsutsugo's good. Randy Arozarena tends to be a guy I was targeting initially just against lefties, but now that he's batting higher in the order against righties, his numbers against righties aren't bad, so I think that Arozarena works too. He's $2,900. Nate Lowe is $29, so I would say you use these 3 guys in order to afford Brandon Lau, who is $3,900, I believe. He's really expensive. $3,800 for Brandon Lau. So I think you use them to get to him. The interesting guy there is Hunter Renfroe, because when I did my research this morning, wasn't entirely sure if Renfroe would be in there, but he is. So let's pull up the numbers here for the Rays against righties so far this year. Renfroe against righties, 26% strikeout rate. That is acceptable. 32% hard hit rate and a 42% fly ball rate. You see the results have not been good for Renfroe, but I am still willing to use him despite that. So I think that Renfroe is on the table. He is $2,700. I think personally I would prefer to go to the guys like Arozarena. I'd rather go to Tsutsugo, and I'd rather go to Nate Lowe. But Renfroe's in play too. Like if you already have, I don't know, I guess they're all out. They might all be outfielders. But regardless, I do think that Renfroe's in play. So anyone in the top 5 spots in the order for Tampa Bay will be on my list for tonight. If you want to just go all value and skip over Brandon Lau, I would like to get Lau in my Rays stacks personally because his numbers are so good. But I think that you can just go all value if you would like to. Fantasy Fun says the football game tomorrow is going to be a snoozer. I actually think it's going to be kind of fun personally. I'm not as sold on Gardner Minshew as like an NFL quarterback, which might be stupid of me, but he's fun to watch. Like that was always my thing with Josh Allen. Like I was never in on him in his first 2 years, but like he was fun to watch. He was good for fantasy too because he's erratic, and erraticism can be good. But I think that I value players who are fun to watch. And I think the Gardner's pretty fun to watch. Ryan Fitzpatrick is always fun to watch too. So I'm pretty excited for that one personally. Get your single game slates in too for over on FanDuel. Alvin, any interest in the Cubs? Let's go over to the Cubs here. They're facing Trevor Williams. Williams is one of those pitchers who tends to overperform his peripherals. So we're talking about the reverse side of that with Michael Wacha before. Williams tends to overperform them because he does such a good job of limiting hard contact. He's allowed a 32% hard hit rate. I think this is for his full season. Yeah, this is 10 starts for Trevor Williams. Doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, so he will allow base runners and balls in play, but he doesn't get totally rocked all that often. And I say that, see here, he allowed 5 earned runs in his most recent start, but he's not a guy who gets rocked all that often. Does have a 6.70 ERA, but I think that for Williams, because the batted ball numbers are as good as they are, I tend to be a bit more wary of stacking against him. So the Cubs are not off the table, Alvin. I think that they are in play. They're not necessarily at the top of my list, but I think I'd rather go elsewhere. You have a justification for using them, though, because Williams doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. That gives them safety. They will put the ball in play. That's a good thing. But I think because he limits hard contact, the Cubs will be a bit lower on my list. May, are Eovaldi and Glasnow worth it for tonight? I think so, personally, for both of them. Tyler Glasnow is risky because he's facing a lower strikeout team and a very good offense in the New York Mets. So you pull up Glasnow's matchup here, and you see the Mets have a 120 WRC plus against righties, just a 22% strikeout rate. So that's why if I am trying to go for safety, I want Kenta Maeda and Kyle Hendricks because they have just the easiest matchups you could possibly imagine. But I think that I'm okay taking the risk with Glasnow in tournaments. 3.06 skill interactive ERA, 38% strikeout rate. With those numbers, you can be in play no matter what the matchup is. So I'd agree that Glasnow works. Eovaldi is an option. I would say, though, that I want to concentrate my exposure on the top 3 pitchers just because I'm a little bit wary this time of year of teams that don't have anything to play for. The Red Sox have nothing to play for. Eovaldi has had a pretty long injury history. He went like 76 pitches in his most recent start, so his pitch count was up when he's been healthy this year. Eovaldi's been very good, 3.20 skill interactive ERA. He has a 28% strikeout rate and a 3% walk rate. So the numbers for Eovaldi are very good. And I would use him if I had confidence he would go 90 to 95 pitches. I'm just lower on him as a result. So I think, May, if you're looking for a pitcher below $9,000, Eovaldi's probably your best choice. However, personally, I want to try to stay in that upper range with Hendricks, with Maeda, with Glasnow, because I feel better about their length. So Eovaldi's in play if you want to spend down. My personal process will be to spend up for the most part. Fantasy fun. Max Fried is 7-0 with a 1.96 ERA and a good matchup. Any interest? So Max Fried is a very good pitcher, and I like Max Fried a lot. And I used him quite a bit earlier in the year. But let's see here. He came off the injured list. He's made 4 starts with fewer 4-seamers and more sinkers. Okay, so Max Fried in his past 4 starts, he's throwing fewer 4-seamers and more sinkers. I just reiterated word for word. My notes say, because why not? But in that time, his strikeout rate has gone down. Just 20% strikeout rate with a 4.68 skill interactive ERA. I think when you have guys like Maeda and Glasnow who can get as many strikeouts as you can, it's harder for me to justify using a lower strikeout pitcher. The reason I'm so in on Hendricks for tonight is that his matchup is a lot better. The Pirates have a 61 WRC plus against righties with a 26% strikeout rate, whereas Fried is facing the Marlins, who have a 22% strikeout rate and a 118 WRC plus against lefties. So the matchup favors Hendricks. I think the overall talent component favors Hendricks too. Again, Max Fried is a good pitcher. So like if you're looking for just a good real world outing, Max Fried is probably going to give you that for tonight. So like you can get that, but I'd rather go with Hendricks. And like Fried is also not a major discount from the high-end pitchers. He is 9-1. Maeda is only 900 more. I'd rather go Kenta in that situation. Rob, how about some love for my Twins tonight with a stack? You got it, Rob. You don't have to talk me into this one. Again, I'm wearing the Twins shirt, so I don't know how much more love we can give the Twins here. I think the Twins are probably my number 2 stack behind the Giants, facing Casey Mize, as mentioned, and Mize is someone right now we can stack against. Let's refresh this here to see if we've got a Twins lineup yet. No Twins lineup. We probably got a pretty good idea of what that lineup will look like. I think to me, I guess the question is Nelson Cruz. Will Nelson Cruz be in there or will he not? If Nelson Cruz is not in there, like every Twins batter is hyper affordable, so they'd be very easy to stack. Let's put Kenta in there because I do like Kenta as my number 1 pitcher. I'm going to put Lord Byron in there because he's the best hitter of all time, and I will take no alternative suggestions of who is the number one hitter of all time. It's Byron Buxton. You can trust that. I want Max Kepler in there. He went yard last night. Good numbers, good peripheral numbers at least against righties. So Kepler, someone I'd expect to hit really well down the stretch. And then I think you're looking at guys like Sano, Rosario. If Cruz is in there, I'd love to use him personally because like I can get him pretty easily at 31.83. So if you can get Cruz in there, but I think my top two guys, unless Cruz is in there, I'm going to go Kepler and Buxton. I mean, Byron Buxton's just like disgusting what he's been doing recently. Let's take a second here to marvel at this wonderful, wonderful man. He's had 5 home runs in the past 6 games. He has 13 total home runs this year. His career high for homers in a season is 16. So if Byron Buxton breaks his career high for home runs in a 60-game season where he was on the injured list, we're partying. All my pants will be burned to the ground. They will no longer be allowed. We're going to party for decades if that happens for Byron Buxton. So yes, Rob, we are fully in on a twin stack for tonight. Javorn, do you like the Cubs bats to stack? We talked about that a bit before. You probably asked this while I was talking about it, so apologies for the repeat there. I'm not seeing your question previously, but I do think that they are an option. Trevor Williams, I thought the results were better than they had then because I tend to view Williams as being one of those guys who will outperform his peripherals. That has not been the case so far this year. Again, the reason I'm a little bit lower on the Cubs for tonight is just because Williams does such a good job of limiting hard contact. He gets some ground balls. So that's why I'm a bit lower on the Cubs, but I do think that they are an option for sure. Corey, cash game, one-off hitter, lock of the day. So I guess it's hard for me to view things in a one-off sense just because I view everything through the lens of stacking. And so it's harder for me to like give out a one-off because it all depends on what you have for your stacks. Even for cash games, I want to stack. I think that the way we're viewing things for cash games is you want to target pitchers with low strikeout rates because they're going to give your batters chances to score points. The only time in DFS where you don't have a chance to score points is if you strike out. So you want to target low strikeout pitchers, which I do think leads us to the Giants. I know the Giants are not a team that I stack very often, but I do think in this scenario, facing off with Castellani, I think they make a lot of sense. Another reason the Giants make sense is that I care about this more for pitchers than I do for hitters, but they're a team that needs to win because they are still in the playoff hunt and they could make it if they keep on winning. So I think you're kind of looking at this Giants lineup to try to find guys who could be in play as being cash game options because I think that they are cash game viable from a stacking perspective. So I would take a look at the Giants, try to find batters who fit what you want there, try to find batters who really stand out to you. So I think Brandon Belt might be that guy. Alex Dickerson might be that guy. Maybe that's where you go. I think I put Max Kepler in a similar range where I view him as being one of the best, like just straight up hitters on the slate. So Max Kepler, Alex Dickerson, Brandon Belt, guys like that probably going to be the main ones that I turn to primarily. Sarugi, hello, just got here. Top pitcher in stacks, thanks again. Top pitcher, Kenta Maeda. Behind him, Kyle Hendricks and Tyler Glasnow. I think that Hendricks is a safer option. Glasnow, not as safe, but has similar upside to Hendricks. I think, I was talking about this morning, but if you told me right now that Kyle Hendricks throws a no-hitter against the Pirates, it's not going to surprise me. He's just really good. They're really not. So it's hard for me to say no to Kyle Hendricks. So I'll put him second over Glasnow, but Glasnow really intriguing from a tournament perspective. So I do think Glasnow is worth it for tonight. Top stacks, Giants, Twins. What were some other ones? The Rays I do like. I think the Royals-Cardinals game is actually kind of intriguing for stacking because Danny Duffy been struggling to get strikeouts recently, letting up a lot of walks. He also limits hard contact, but he puts a lot of balls in the air, which helps make up for that. So Cardinals, interesting for stacks. The Royals, interesting as Carlos Martinez. The Pirates got to Martinez in his most recent start. So if the Pirates can do it, I kind of think the Royals can too. So I would say, you're looking at the Giants, Twins, Rays, Royals, Cardinals, and I think the Cubs probably deserve to be about number 6 on that list. So they're an option too. Hopefully it gives you an idea of where I'm at on various teams for tonight. Fantasy fun. I'm going to play Glasnow tonight. I love watching him pitch. He throws gas and can get out of jams. I think Glasnow, this has been true for a lot of baseball players, which is kind of like the fun part of having no fans. You can hear all of the like on-field stuff. I think Tyler Glasnow drops F-bombs more than like any other pitcher. I'm not sure if there are analytics on this, but like it's after most pitches, Tyler Glasnow is ripping off some swear words, and there's a lot of value in that. So I like that a lot too. He is fun to watch. And like you hear it a lot with no fans. Like you hear if a batter pops up, you get to hear the emotion. Usually it's in the form of a swear word. So I've enjoyed that personally. It stinks not have fans. It stinks that we're in a pandemic. We obviously would like to all be healthy so we can go to games, but it's one minor consolation to have to hear these baseball players like Tyler Glasnow swearing a lot on the field. I guess that helps. Pandemic stink, but at least we have that. Mondesi at $2,900 seems like a steal with his upside. I'm guessing steal was intentionally included as a word in there because Mondesi can steal a lot of bases. He's been doing that a lot recently. Facing Carlos Martinez. Martinez, I believe these are his full season numbers. They might actually be just since he came off the injury list. No, these are the full season numbers for Martinez as a starter. 18% strikeout rate in that game against the Pirates. He went like, I think 3 innings and had 4 walks compared to 1 strikeout. So I think we can use batters facing Martinez, should let batters on base. Mondesi got off to a really bad start this year, and I think it was understandable because like he was coming off a pretty major shoulder injury, and like we didn't have spring training to get like all the timing back. So I was pretty forgiving of Mondesi having that slow start, but as you noted, he's had a lot of steals recently. I want to check out his numbers here, his batting numbers specifically, to see how things have gone here recently, to see if they've been getting better as he's been getting further removed from that injury. Still striking out a lot in September and October, but hitting for more power. See if that translates to the batted ball numbers too. 38% hard hit rate and a 44% fly ball rate. So yeah, I think that if you want a one-off, Mondesi at $2,900 at shortstop, I think that is totally okay, and I am very on board. James says Kramer is getting 8 strikeouts for tonight. All right, Dean Kramer, he's someone who's looked really good in his first couple of outings, and I was pretty intrigued by it. Looking at his minor league profile, it didn't quite get me to buy in, but like, yeah, he's kind of fun, James. I agree. I think that he's not too bad. You look at the 31% strikeout rate this year, that's really good. The reason I didn't wind up including Kramer in my recommendations are 2 numbers. One is the 9.9% swinging strike rate that he's had so far in the majors. That number stabilizes more quickly than strikeout rates because it's over every pitch as opposed to every batter faced. So that's why that stabilizes more quickly. Number 2 was last year in Double-A, a 25% strikeout rate. That's a little bit lower than I would have liked. So I think that Kramer's really fun. I enjoy watching him. But I think that as a result, I'm expecting his strikeout rate to come down, and that's why he was not on my list for tonight. Sticking with young, fun pitchers, Dan's Guitar over on Periscope asked about Sixto Sanchez. Really fun, really young. I think the reason for him has nothing to do with talent. Sanchez, really good pitcher. I was scared off by the matchup. The Braves, they've just been posting like a 10 spot every night, it feels like. It's sometimes benefiting us because we've been stacking them quite a bit. But also, it's kind of scary no matter who the pitcher is. The reason that Sanchez may be able to overcome that is that he doesn't walk many guys, doesn't let up a lot of hard contact. So I'm not saying that Sanchez will get rocked, but it's a very scary matchup. And when I have guys like Kenta, like Kyle, we'll go by Kyle, first name basis with Kyle Hendricks. When we have other really good pitchers, because Sanchez is a really good pitcher too. When I have other really good pitchers who are in dream matchups, like with the Tigers and the Pirates, I'm okay taking the path of least resistance and going with them over someone like Sanchez, even though I agree Sanchez is really fun. So that's the same thing with Max Fried we were talking about, same thing with Dean Kramer. Really good players, really good pitchers, and I think like the talent is definitely there. I just find it hard to pass up guys like Maeda, Hendricks, and Glasnow because they're so good. And I think especially with Maeda and Hendricks in such good spots for tonight. That is all the time that we have for today here on the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. But do not forget to subscribe to the FanDuel Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope pages to get notifications as we go live each and every day, so you can get your questions live here on the air. Only 2 more MLB DFS shows left tomorrow and Friday. we'll be doing the waiver wire Q&A and the snake draft live on air for Tuesday and Friday. So still plenty to come even after MLB season is over. So make sure you are subscribed. Right here on the FanDuel YouTube page tomorrow morning, Brandon Gadula and I are breaking down week number 3 for NFL DFS, taking a look at the potential value plays, looking at 2 really fun games to stack, getting you set for week 3. That'll be live on YouTube at 10 a.m. and on the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed immediately after that. So make sure you subscribe to the FanDuel YouTube page and the DFS Podcast feed. Big thank you to Calvin Theobald, our video producer, for the video side of things here today. Thank you, Cal, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in, asking really good questions, and just being very respectful of everything. Really do appreciate that. Good luck to you tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow. This has been the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A.